Now let me deal with this before we continue. I have heard this many times when exposing heresies and those who spread them. You're just tearing other preachers down. No, I'm not tearing anyone down. I'm obeying God. Romans 16:17. Now I beseech you, brethren, mark them which cause divisions and offenses, contrary, look at that word, contrary to the doctrine which ye have learned, and avoid them. Whenever someone has said to me, whenever somebody said this to me about, oh, you're just tearing other preachers down, I remember Ahab accusing Elijah as being a troublemaker for telling the truth. Art thou he that troubleth Israel? 1 Kings 18:17. It is not the ones standing for the Bible and God's truth that are causing the trouble, people. It is those who are watering down the message and handling the Bible fast and loose who are causing the trouble. The idea that correction and exposing these things is the same as tearing down somebody is an idea that came out of Trickery Broadcasting Network in the 80s. I didn't misspeak. I did say Trickery Broadcasting Network because I refused to call them Trinity. True preachers who were concerned with truth were exposing TBN and the prosperity gospel as a false teaching. And TBN would manipulate their donors and viewers by deflection, anger, and often vicious attack against those pointing out their error, even using religious manipulation tactics and threats against those who were trying to warn about them. I don't know if they're still doing this. They were doing this in the 80s. I don't watch them anymore. I don't have anything to do with it. So I don't know if they're still doing this type of thing, but in the 80s, they definitely were. They would say things like, oh, they're just heresy hunters. They would say things like, get out of my face in Jesus' name. They would even say that Christian ministers were not to correct each other ever. You don't correct each other, as though this is only some minor error. We don't need to correct each other over minor error. We can sit down over lunch and just talk about it. We don't need to correct each other over something that's tiny, that's minor, it's not hurting anybody. But correction, according to Galatians 6:1, is biblical. It is biblical. TBN also said that exposing their error was the same as tearing them down. They said it on the TV. They said it for everyone to hear. They said, if you tear us, if you talk about what we talk about and you're trying to correct us, you are tearing us down. That is the origin of people who think that way. And I'm sorry, I'm not trying to insult anybody, but you need a little history lesson on that. TBN said if you spoke against them in any way, you were tearing them down. Listen, a true minister is interested in truth and doesn't mind being corrected if he's wrong. Proverbs 9:8, reprove not a scorner, lest he hate thee. Rebuke a wise man, and he will love thee. As my wife once said, if you're built on the solid rock, no one can tear you down.